final thing we're going to talk about is contraceptives, particularly the pill.
This was the one I set you onto.
It was, yeah. I didn't really know anything about it, so credit to Connor for lots of the links I'm going to go through. So we're going to start off with this article from The Independent. Almost 1/4 of women blame hormonal contraception for relationship ending. So it says I'm reading from the body of the article now, almost 1/4 of women who have taken hormonal contraception say it caused or played a role in the end of their relationship, new research has found. Data from Britain's largest family law firm shared exclusively with The Independent also found that 85% of their marriages or relationships had been impacted by the contraception side effects. The research carried out by Stowe Family Law found some 63% of women were forced to come off a form of contraception due to side effects altering their relationship. Almost 9 in 10 women who had used hormonal contraception said it had affected their mental or physical health, and researchers who polled 506 women aged between 18 and 60 found just over 7 in 10 of those who had taken hormonal contraception said they suffered mood swings, whilst almost half had experienced depression. Around 3 in 10 said they had grappled with anxiety. So this is very significant in terms of numbers if this polling is to be believed.
Obviously, it's polling, so it's not to be held at the same level as a peer-reviewed journal, but part of this is because in the ovulation cycle, which the pill interrupts, at the period of peak estrogen, women are far more attracted to men. Just typically, they're more interested in sex, their libido goes up, they report higher levels of attraction to masculine features or scents of sweat if you have them smell t-shirts and lab conditions, which are more associated with men of high testosterone.
So this is where I've been going wrong. I actually have hygiene, and therefore I've been putting women off. That's what I'm taking out of this.
Don't walk into your office with your stinky pits with the heating on, Josh. You will not be wanted in a desk near me, I can tell you that. But the pill elevates levels of progesterone, so that puts them in a diminished estrogen state, so it delays the release of an egg, and women can report feeling really lethargic or with low libido. But that can also alter their mate preferences and make them averse to testosterone, and that can cause communication issues, or even if they pick their partners while they're on contraception, it can mean that they're not as attracted to their partners that they've chosen when going off the contraception, because it can change your taste profile almost entirely.
It's very scary, isn't it?
Not for me, mate. I've locked my missus down. I'm all right. But for all the other fellas out there, and also for women who just want to pick the right man genuinely for them, their hormones, emotions, and interests may be being artificially messed with, and we're now mass medicating women for the last 50-odd years, starting from their teenage years through to menopause.
Absolutely. Moving on to another independent article, severe mental health side effects of contraceptive pill revealed in new BBC documentary. And it reads, the contraceptive pill, I've said it so many times, I can't say it now, has been sparking controversy since it became available in the UK in 1961. Despite research linking it to everything from breast cancer and blood clots to low libido and weight gain, it remains the most popular form of contraception for women today and is taken by more than 100 million women worldwide. But countless studies have identified strong links between taking the pill and poor mental health, and the new BBC Two documentary sheds light on the severity of the problem, revealing how it's left some women suffering from depression and experiencing suicidal thoughts.
Yeah, so as well, it's worth clarifying there are multiple types of pill, but I believe the combined is the most prominent, so that's the one they're referring to here.
Okay. And moving on to The Guardian, the pill affects women's satisfaction with their relationships, research finds. So yes, it could affect how women judge facial attractiveness, leaving them less satisfied with a partner, which was what you were alluding to.
Yes, and that also has a knock-on effect to the sort of contemporary dating crisis, because you see a lot of these articles where women say, I'm out-earning a man and I'm reaching the upper echelons of achievement and there's not as many men in this. You can see this with the OkCupid data as well, that says that 80% of women are going for 20% of the highest status men. So not only is there a perverse incentive with digital distribution, making it you have a lower barrier to entry and investment in trying to meet someone and talk to them, but also you can drop it at any time without any consequences. There's also the material factors are exacerbated by the amount of women going to higher education and into work. And that has been facilitated by the contraceptive pill because there's less of a risk of dropping out. And so you combine the social factors of I'm earning more, I can pick out the best man for me digitally, and I've spent more time in education, with the factors of I am more attracted to more feminine looking men and react more aversely to deeper voices, smells of testosterone, sharper jawlines while I'm on the pill, then women may be choosing men who they would not be as happy with were they not on the pill, and over time, who are not competing as much with them in terms of verbally, or they're not as sexually attracted to them, and you wonder why the rates of divorce are basically 50-50. This may be an influential factor. Like we said, not just looking at social factors, which a lot of we do in our segments and we did on our dating advice podcast and things like that, but this may be the inverse of where the environmental factors are being solely looked at, and a medical factor may not even be being taken into account that's influencing the baby and relationship deficit we have today.
And something quick, I agree with pretty much all of what you said there, but one thing that I do have a bit of a gripe with is that 80-20 Pareto distribution in the dating app thing, because there's no indication that their behavior in the dating app necessarily translates to everyday life. And you imagine that someone's approach to using a dating app will be different to how they approach everyday life. And therefore, I quite often feel like it's used to explain everyday behavior, even though sometimes it might not be appropriate. I'm not saying that you were doing that, but just as like a cautionary tale. But I think that more likely is that women prefer the top 20% of men. What is it? That 80% of women prefer the top 20% of men. But sometimes you don't always get what you want. But
sure,
to paraphrase the Rolling Stones, sometimes you get what you need.
Or you get what you effing deserve. Sure, but the issue is if you're provided with a glut of options and you're only delivered the best possible outside of your geographic range, then, and I'm not saying women should settle, but we had this conversation earlier with the girls in the office. If you don't know what you don't have, then you pick from the pool of available options. When you have
it's
a global
easier to be
scope,
content, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. You're not got a grass is greener mentality constantly detracting from you actually picking someone, sticking with it, growing together, and working through your problems. You're paralyzed by analysis instead.
When the potential is the whole world, it's not surprising that people are dissatisfied, right?
Yes.
Yes. So moving on to something that you did mention earlier, but I'm just going to read a little bit from this. It's talking about the smell factor that you were talking about. So it says, while several factors can send women swooning, including big brains and brawn.
Well,
I knew you would react in some way like that. Body odour can be critical in the final decision, the researchers say. That's because beneath a woman's flowery fragrance or a guy's musk, the body sends out aromatic molecules that indicate genetic compatibility. So that's the root cause of that smell thing that you're talking about. But I'm not going to read as much of that because we pretty much covered that already.
Well, I was going to say the evolutionary reason behind this was originally so that you don't cross-contaminate within your own bloodline. So it was to prevent against incest. Let's not start crossing wires here, shall we? Just going to warn against medical interventions.
Yeah, so the pill encourages you to be incest is basically science.
Let's move
on. Just saying, that's the implication of that. I just said it explicitly.
Horrific enough down the road, I suppose. The sexual revolution creates man-made horrors beyond our comprehension.
So moving on to the next one, which is from the BMJ, the medical journal, the pill and women's sexuality. And it says here, one placebo-controlled comparison of combined oral contraceptives and progestogen only oral contraceptives done in Scotland and the Philippines found negative effects of the combined pill on sexual interest in the Scottish women, about half of whom reported reduced sexual interest. So actually the pill is doing us all a service then. So in the Philippines, levels of sexual interest were not significantly reduced, possibly because the women had much lower levels before starting the pill compared with the Scottish women. So
Scottish women are all feral beasts, apparently.
The BMJ savaging the Scottish woman, apparently. This finding highlighted the need to consider the sexual culture and the context of pill use. So yes, it might not have the same effect in all cultures as well. It's worth mentioning. You've mentioned already, so we can skip this Atlantic link, that it makes women prefer less masculine women, and we can move on to this.
Less masculine men. You jumped ahead of yourself for a second there. Yeah, it's less masculine men, not less masculine women.
Oh, but that's what I meant.
Yeah, the pill may make them prefer women.
That is true. That's what I was setting up.
Yes.
I had a bit of a Freudian slip. So if we move on to the Mail article, Can birth control make you a lesbian? As a number of women say their homosexuality was woken up after starting or coming off the pill, studies suggest there might be some truth about the unlikely side effect.
Now, the exponential increase across generations may not be purely ideological. Because, what was it, less than 1% with the boomers, and now up to 40% of LGBTQ acronym identification in Gen Z. And I know you hate the breakdown generation labels,
Well,
but
yeah, it doesn't make sense, but okay.
There's nothing else really we can use other than the age brackets
The
at
youth.
this point. Yes,
It's
post
far
2000s.
more dismissive.
Sure. So perhaps widespread medical interventions combined with ideology may be creating this exponential increase. It's speculative, but there are individual testimonies to it. And in the case of detransitioners, for example, that's all we have to go on at the moment. So
It's weird to think that there's some sort of lesbian epidemic going on. This is far better than COVID, to be fair. So I believe you had some stuff to talk about yourself.
yeah, well, I just wanted to build on this slightly and say that it may even be affecting men.
Okay.
So I found something from Insider. Birth control pills may be adding 10 million doses of hormones to wastewater every day, and some of that may wind up in taps. So we may be drinking the runoff of birth control contaminated urine from the 100 million women that are on the combined pill.
I'm not sure I can say this, but it really is going into the water and making men less masculine.
Well,
I didn't want to use the actual quote
may be
because
making-
YouTube will flag it if it goes out on YouTube, this clip.
it may be making the freaking women gay.
That's true. Well, it seems to be.
According to testimonies and budding research, and Dr. Sarah Hill was actually quoted in that prior Mail article, and she'd just recently been reviewed by a friend of the show, Chris Williamson, and she's encouraging people to do some investigations into this, because she said as well, the likes of Jonathan Haidt in Coddling of the American Mind investigated the exponential increase of women's mental health issues and chalked it down to social media. They didn't look at the combined pill as an influential factor because it's actually quite hard to do controlled studies where women have never been exposed to contraceptives now. So that's another avenue to look at and go down. But in this, I'm just going to read from the article. In the United States, 15 million women regularly take birth control pills, typically relying on a synthetic form of estrogen known as EE2. Since it's an endocrine disruptor, EE2 could interfere with reproductive hormones and development if consumed in excess or by vulnerable individuals like infants. According to Siegel, birth control pills add more than 10 million doses of synthetic estrogen to America's wastewater every day. The estimate is based on the number of women who take oral contraceptives in the US and assumes those women take the pill 21 days of the month, so take it properly, and excrete around 90% of the dose into wastewater because there's far more than you need in each pill, and sometimes some women just take it continuously throughout the month and don't give themselves a break. So even if we're doing the conservative estimate of everyone using it properly, that's a hell of a lot. A 2010 study determined that birth control pills account for less than 1% of the total amount of estrogen found in US drinking water, but since local water systems don't test for EE2, the study's authors noted, it's hard to say how much of the hormone is in our water in totality. So
Kind of scary.
yeah, so
I'm going to stop drinking tap water from now on because I pretty much drink it exclusively.
I have bottled sparkling, so I'm just more of a man than you, I guess,
fancy.
Josh.
You man with your sparkling water, are you?
Tastes like cigarette butts. It's lovely. So the next one is, we've had a similar problem in the UK. So 10 years ago, they spent 30 billion on purifying water after they found that contraceptive pill was toxifying it. So EE2, again, was found to have triggered a condition known as intersex in freshwater fish. The Jurassic Park effect, which has caused significant drops in populations of many species, although no links have yet been made with human health.
They're making the fish gay,
Yep,
not
that
just
too.
the frogs.
More than 2.5 million women take birth control in the UK. Their EE2 content is excreted and washed into sewage systems and rivers. Even at very low concentrations, this chemical has harmful effects on fish. Males suffer reduced sperm production with severe effects on populations. So no concerns at all if this has affected human beings, how many years on, but fish definitely drops their population and sperm production. It's not like we're the problem with sperm content in the West. Oh, wait. Oh no. Yeah.
In the past 50 years, what happened 50 years ago? What was that?
Something happened. So sperm counts worldwide have plunged 62% in under 50 years. This was a joint study between a New York and an Israeli university.
1961, was it, that they introduced the contraceptive pill?
Well, specifically the progestin pill was in 1973.
Okay.
Yep.
Ooh,
slightly
that's
worrying.
Right on time.
Yeah. Sperm counts globally have fallen at an alarming rate, dropping by more than 62% between 1973 and 2018, and could lead to a reproductive crisis, not like our birth rates are plummeting in the UK, whereas I think it's 52% of women over 30 have no children now. So it's not like this is having any knock-on effects at all. The study reported sperm counts in, specifically, they say worldwide, but America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. What do all those have in common? Liberal values and the sexual revolution, I think. More than 50% sperm counts have dropped between 1973 and 2011, and the average was directly 51.6% if you look at the original study linked in the description. So I just thought I'd point those out as if we're talking about the overprescription of psychoactive medication being very bad, particularly I found, funnily enough, SSRIs have had some disproportionate impacts in women, and funnily enough, like creatine can help with that and mitigate the effects, so that's quite interesting.
So making gains at the gym.
Yeah, literally, just buy it from MyProtein rather than your doctor.
So don't go to a psychiatrist, talk to a gym bro, is what I'm hearing here. That's what I'm going to do. That's medical
Rich piano
advice.
therapy. But if we're talking about mass medication, let's not look at certain recent medical interventions which are 100% safe and effective. The pill might be doing us some bad, and I encourage some people in the medical field to perhaps evaluate this problem.
No, I agree, and I was very surprised at this, but I think the evidence is quite resounding, really, isn't it? Particularly the timeline of everything going on, I think is quite telling, really.
To watch the full video, please become a premium member at lotuseaters.com.